The reef wakes beneath a flood of light. Every coral head, every fish scale, every drifting grain of sand becomes part of a slow, living kaleidoscope. Within this saturated world of color and texture, a shadow shifts where no creature seems to move. The seafloor ripples once, twice, and then the impossible happens. The sand itself reshapes into form. Arms unfurl, eyes dilate, and an entire animal materializes from the background as though the sea had decided to breathe. This is the cuttlefish, nature's most skilled illusionist, a master of shape and light, whose skin is less an organ and more a living, thinking display. It does not merely hide, it edits the world around it, reprogramming its own body to merge with, mimic, and even manipulate the ecosystem it inhabits. Seen in close detail, the cuttlefish is a paradox of fragility and complexity. Its body is soft, unarmored, almost defenseless, yet beneath that vulnerability lies one of evolution's most sophisticated camouflage systems. The cuttlefish's skin is built in 3 layers, each dedicated to a different aspect of optical illusion. The outermost layer is packed with chromatophores, tiny elastic sacs filled with pigment that can expand or contract to alter color. Below them lie iridophores, mirror-like cells that scatter and reflect light at different wavelengths, creating shimmering blues and greens. Beneath these sits the leucophore layer, a diffuser that scatters ambient light to fine-tune brightness and hue. Together, these layers form a biological screen capable of high-speed editing, where the cuttlefish can rewrite its appearance in less than a quarter of a second. It is not color change alone that makes this animal extraordinary, but control. The cuttlefish's brain, among the largest invertebrate brains relative to body size, is wired directly into its skin through millions of neural connections. Each chromatophore is independently innervated, allowing pixel-by-pixel manipulation much like the display of a digital monitor. When a cuttlefish passes over coral rubble, its skin flashes a mosaic of mottled beige and grey. Over a sandy bottom, it smooths into pale uniformity. Among seagrass, it ripples with greens and shadows that pulse to the rhythm of the current. What it performs is not mimicry by memory, but computation by perception. The cuttlefish analyzes its surroundings in real time and projects the correct disguise through instantaneous neural output. Camouflage in the marine world is common, but few animals master texture as well as color. For the cuttlefish, two-dimensional blending is not enough. Along its back, specialized muscular organs called papillae can raise or flatten the skin to create physical texture, bumps, ridges, and folds that replicate the contours of rocks, algae, or sand grains. By combining these papillae with color patterns, the cuttlefish achieves true three-dimensional deception. A flat body becomes knobby coral, a smooth flank transforms into jagged rubble. This integration of pattern and texture gives the illusion depth, tricking not only the eyes but the perception of predators that rely on outlines and shadows to detect prey. But camouflage is only one layer of its mastery. When the cuttlefish chooses to hunt, the illusion reverses, from concealment to hypnosis. The behavior known as passing cloud display turns the animal's skin into a flowing conveyor belt of darkness, a wave of shifting contrast that sweeps across the body like a moving shadow. To the fish or crab in front of it, this undulating light acts as a hypnotic signal, disrupting the prey's visual tracking. The pattern resembles the flicker of light filtered through rippling water, an ambient, familiar phenomenon in the reef. In essence, the cuttlefish weaponizes the environment's own lighting cues to lull its prey into calm stillness. Then, when the distance narrows to less than a body length, the performance ends abruptly, and violence begins. The attack of a cuttlefish is surgical. Two long tentacles, hidden among its shorter arms, shoot outward faster than the blink of a human eye. The tips bear suckers that lock onto the target, pulling it toward the central beak. The jaws close with a cracking precision, breaking through shell or exoskeleton before the prey can react. A vacuum is formed as the tentacles retract, ensuring that even slippery or struggling animals cannot escape the suction's pull. The entire strike from initiation to capture can take less than 1/10 of a second. This precision requires immense neural coordination. The cuttlefish must account for water refraction, distance distortion, and motion parallax, calculating its strike vector as if running ballistic equations in its head. The energy cost of maintaining such an advanced display system is steep. Every expansion of chromatophores, every wave of papillae consumes muscular effort. In the sunlit lagoons where light is strongest, this expenditure is magnified. Brighter surroundings demand more elaborate matching. The animal must constantly balance metabolic cost against survival benefit, choosing when to remain invisible and when to reveal itself. Studies show that cuttlefish in brighter, more exposed habitats often switch patterns less frequently than those in dimmer or more variable environments, conserving energy by remaining still. Camouflage, for all its glamour, is not free. It is a currency that must be spent wisely, traded for moments of security or opportunity. The cost is worth it, for the reef is a theater of both beauty and death. Here, predators with speed and armor dominate open water, but the cuttlefish has chosen a subtler path. Its defense is intelligence. With a brain structured in lobes similar to that of vertebrates, it demonstrates problem-solving, learning, and even short-term memory. In experiments, cuttlefish can navigate mazes, distinguish between shapes and textures, and even remember past experiences to avoid danger. Their ability to interpret polarized light, a form of light vibration invisible to most animals, adds yet another layer to their perception. Polarization vision gives the cuttlefish a hidden language. Many of its skin cells can manipulate polarized light, allowing it to send visual signals that other species cannot see. To a human observer, two cuttlefish hovering side by side appear motionless and plain. But through polarized sight, they may be communicating in flickering patterns invisible to predators, a private conversation conducted in wavelengths beyond detection. These polarized signals play a crucial role during courtship and dominance displays, allowing individuals to coordinate or compete without revealing themselves to the rest of the reef. Even here, deception continues. A male cuttlefish competing for a mate faces the same peril as any brightly advertising creature. Visibility means vulnerability. To solve this, evolution has armed him with a trick of duplicity known as the split signal. When rival males approach, a courting male can display two different patterns simultaneously. One side of his body showing dominance bars to ward off competitors, the other side projecting neutral, non-threatening tones toward the female. To her he appears calm and devoted, to them formidable and dangerous. This two-faced illusion allows him to court and fight in the same instant, a literal embodiment of mixed signals that only his brain and skin together can perform. As with many cephalopods, the cuttlefish's life is a balance of brilliance and brevity. Most live little more than 2 years, their entire existence compressed into a cycle of rapid growth, experimental learning, and final sacrifice. After mating, females lay clusters of ink-stained eggs beneath coral shelves or within crevices, each carefully attached by the mother's arms. She guards them until her energy is spent, her chromatophores dimming with exhaustion as she sinks into the sand. The male, his purpose fulfilled, fades soon after. Yet within those translucent eggs, the next generation is already learning. Embryonic cuttlefish can observe and memorize their environment before hatching, imprinting the textures and patterns of their future world so that their first camouflage may already fit the habitat into which they emerge. This early learning offers a glimpse into the evolutionary intelligence of the lineage. Cuttlefish are not only adapting through genes, they are adapting through experience, compressing memory into instinct. Each new generation inherits not only biological tools, but a library of environmental understanding passed through behavior. Their evolution, then, is both mechanical and cognitive, blending biology and perception in a feedback loop that keeps refining their art of invisibility. Viewed from above, the cuttlefish's world is one of paradoxes, an animal that survives by vanishing, a predator that thrives through deception. Yet its illusions are not vanity, they are function, evolved artistry grounded in necessity. Every flicker of pigment, every ripple of texture serves the physics of survival. When the reef brightens again and currents shift, the cuttlefish adjusts, its skin re-rendering the landscape in real time. For a few seconds, the creature is gone, absorbed into coral, sand, and shadow. Then, a flicker of movement betrays it. a ripple too synchronized with the current. The reef edits itself again, and the illusionist resumes its performance, hidden in plain sight, always rewriting the rules of visibility. The shallow reef flat at low tide looks almost harmless. The sunlight turns the lagoon into a mirror, its surface rippling gently over patches of sand and rubble. Small fish dart in the warmth, picking among coral fragments. But beneath this serene canvas lies one of the ocean's most treacherous disguises, a predator so patient, so perfectly hidden, that a careless step can turn paradise into agony. The stonefish, the master of the motionless kill, waits not in the depths, but just under the skin of the sea, camouflaged as part of the bottom itself. It is the ocean's buried weapon, a creature that does not hunt so much as it lets others find it. At first glance, the stonefish hardly seems alive. Its body, compact and rough, appears more like an eroded rock than flesh. The skin is a topography of nodules, warts, and algae-covered ridges, evolution's imitation of decay. Tiny tufts of filamentous algae grow on its head and back, helping it merge with coral rubble or sediment. Even its color, ranging from dull gray to mottled brown or red, changes slightly with its surroundings, though never with the dynamic brilliance of cuttlefish or octopus. The stonefish's camouflage is not about transformation, it is about perfect permanence. It chooses a spot and becomes it, lying motionless for hours, sometimes days, until something living crosses the invisible boundary of danger. Its habitat is deliberate. Stonefish favor the micro-worlds between ecosystems, shallow reef flats, rocky surge channels, and seagrass borders where water alternates between stillness and turbulence. These are transition zones rich in movement, where currents carry juvenile fish and shrimp from one habitat to another. Here the stonefish can hide under a thin dusting of sand or coral grit, half buried, with only its eyes and mouth exposed. The constant flicker of particles and debris around it creates the illusion that everything, including the fish itself, is part of the same restless background. Predators often choose concealment for safety. The stonefish chooses it for precision. When prey wanders too close, the strike happens with mechanical efficiency. The stonefish's mouth is not designed to chase or tear. It is a piston-driven vacuum chamber. When the target enters range, the fish's jaws open downward and outward, expanding its buccal cavity at blinding speed. The sudden drop in pressure sucks in both water and victim in less than 1/1000th of a second, faster than the blink of a human eye. There is no chase, no struggle, only disappearance. Small crustaceans, gobies and blennies vanish into the waiting cavity, their bodies swallowed whole before their nervous systems can even register the event. The power of this suction is immense. The stonefish does not need teeth or pursuit when physics itself does the killing. To witness the strike is to see violence without movement. The body barely twitches, the sand scarcely stirs. The event is almost invisible to the human eye, and to the prey, it might feel like being caught in the collapse of the sea itself. The mouth closes, pressure normalizes, and the fish resets to stillness. No trace remains except for a faint puff of sand, the only proof that something inanimate was alive all along. But it is not the ambush that has made the stonefish infamous. It is the weapon it carries for defense, one so potent that it ranks among the most dangerous natural toxins in the marine world. Along its back run 13 dorsal spines, each tipped with a sharp, hollow needle connected to venom glands. When stepped on or provoked, the fish arches its body, forcing these spines upward through the skin. The effect is automatic. The fish does not need to aim or choose. Pressure applied from above drives the spine into the offender, injecting venom through grooves that act like syringes. The venom, called cynancytoxin, is a complex cocktail of proteins and enzymes that attack the victim's nervous and cardiovascular systems simultaneously. It causes immediate, excruciating pain, described by divers as feeling like molten metal coursing through the limb. The site of injection swells, tissue begins to necrotize, and systemic effects follow. Difficulty breathing, muscle paralysis, and in severe cases, heart failure. In untreated stings, particularly those involving multiple spines, the risk of death is real. Even surviving the encounter leaves a mark, both physical and psychological. Among marine biologists and reef workers, the stonefish's reputation is absolute. Respect it or regret it. The potency of synancy toxin evolved not for hunting, but deterrence. The stonefish's immobility, its greatest advantage in predation, is a vulnerability in defense. Buried and slow, it cannot flee from larger threats like rays, sharks, or human footsteps. Its spines, therefore, are a last line of negotiation, a message encoded in pain. Unlike venomous snakes or spiders that rely on controlled injection, the stonefish's delivery is crude but effective. The glands are pressurized, and any compression of the body releases venom in full dose. It is nature's equivalent of an airbag, violent, immediate, and designed for emergencies only. Yet for all its deadliness, the stonefish does not seek confrontation. It lives quietly, moving only when currents or necessity demand. Its thick, leathery skin resists abrasion from sand and coral, allowing it to remain buried during tidal surges. The fish's sensory adaptations are equally tuned to its environment. Small pits along its head detect pressure changes in the surrounding water, allowing it to feel movement nearby without needing sight. Its eyes, perched high on the head, offer a wide field of vision for detecting shadows above, useful both for catching prey and avoiding being stepped on by predators. Every aspect of its anatomy is shaped by stillness and reaction, rather than pursuit and motion. What makes the stonefish's story particularly relevant is how easily humans cross paths with it. In popular snorkeling areas and reef flats, these fish inhabit exactly the kind of shallow, sunlit zones people wade through. Their camouflage is so convincing that even trained observers sometimes fail to spot them. A perfectly ordinary-looking patch of sand can conceal a creature capable of delivering one of the most painful stings on Earth. Fortunately, understanding their behavior can turn risk into safety. The first rule of prevention is visual awareness. Stonefish prefer to rest in depressions or under small ledges where current brings food and oxygen. Avoid walking barefoot over such areas and never reach under rocks or coral without looking. Protective footwear, thick-soled booties or fins, can prevent most accidental punctures. If one must cross a shallow reef, shuffling feet gently along the substrate rather than taking steps can alert hidden animals before pressure triggers a defensive strike. Most stonefish will flee when disturbed gently, reserving their venom only for direct threats. For those working in fisheries or coastal research, first aid knowledge is essential. Immediate immersion of the affected limb in hot water, as hot as can be tolerated without burning, helps denature the heat-sensitive toxins and ease pain. Antivenom exists and has saved lives, but access in remote regions can be limited. Prevention remains the best strategy, as even non-lethal stings can cause severe pain and long-term nerve damage. Ecologically, the stonefish plays a critical role in maintaining balance across the reef's small-scale food webs. As an ambush predator, it helps regulate populations of small benthic fish and crustaceans that might otherwise overgraze algae or corals. Its presence ensures that prey species remain alert, fostering the constant tension that defines healthy ecosystems. In this sense, the stonefish's danger to humans is incidental, a byproduct of occupying the same shallow realm where life, light, and curiosity intersect. When viewed in its own context, the stonefish is not a monster, but a masterpiece of adaptation. It embodies the principle that in nature, power often hides beneath stillness. Its camouflage, physiology, and venom form a complete survival system, offense, defense, and invisibility rolled into one. Where speed and vision define the hunters of the open ocean, the stonefish survives by becoming the environment itself. As the tide rises again over the reef, the sand settles, erasing all evidence of what lies below. The stonefish adjusts minutely, burying deeper, its eyes half-lidded under a film of sediment. Tiny wrasses flit above, cleaning coral heads. The light shifts, the waves begin to murmur, and the fish waits once more, unseen, unmoving, yet entirely aware. In the hierarchy of ocean predators, none are quieter, none deadlier than the sand that bites back. The coral labyrinth is never still. Sunlight pierces through rippling surface waves, scattering into beams that dapple the reef floor like shifting bars of liquid gold. Fish glide in rhythmic motion, their scales glinting in synchronized pulses. Crabs scuttle between coral branches, pausing to sift sediment with their claws, while small wrasses weave through the current in nervous bursts. It is a world saturated with motion and color, yet somewhere within this chaos, the ultimate shapeshifter has already vanished. The octopus is here, watching, thinking, and waiting, but you will not see it until it decides to let you. Few creatures on Earth embody intelligence and invisibility as seamlessly as the octopus. It is both predator and illusionist, an animal that exists at the intersection of biology and strategy. To understand the octopus is to witness how cognition itself can evolve beyond the boundaries of bone or brain. Within its body, a network of distributed intelligence hums beneath the skin. 2/3 of its neurons are not in its head, but in its arms. Each arm acts as a semi-autonomous problem solver, capable of making decisions independent of central command. The octopus does not simply think with its brain. It feels with its body, a diffuse consciousness where control and perception blur into one seamless system. In a world where survival depends on adaptability, this neurological architecture gives the octopus its most astonishing power: context-aware camouflage. The skin of an octopus is a living canvas, a flexible, light-sensitive interface layered with chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, pigment cells that control not only color, but also brightness and reflection. Each chromatophore expands or contracts through muscular control, altering pigment concentration in real time. Beneath them, iridophores create structural colors through interference patterns, producing iridescent greens and blues, while leucophores act as reflectors, bouncing back ambient light to fine-tune contrast. Together, these layers enable the octopus to rewrite its body in milliseconds, becoming coral, sand, rock, or shadow as easily as exhaling. But it is not just mimicry. The octopus does not reproduce its surroundings through rote replication, it interprets them. Visual cues, tactile textures, and even the way light scatters through water inform its transformations. When a shadow passes overhead, the octopus flattens against the substrate, skin smoothing to a dull, featureless tone that mirrors the seafloor. When it drifts across branching coral, papillae rise from its skin like miniature towers, matching the reef's spongy architecture. These papillae are muscular structures capable of forming peaks, ridges, or flaps, giving the animal three-dimensional camouflage that fools both the eye and the sonar senses of predators. At times, its performance extends beyond mere disguise into outright deception. When cornered by a moray eel or a shark, the octopus deploys one of the most elaborate escape illusions in the animal kingdom, the pseudomorph. With a sharp contraction of its mantle, it ejects a cloud of ink mixed with mucus, forming a dense, shape-retaining blob roughly the size of its own body. In the confusion, the predator lunges toward the false target, biting into a dissolving decoy while the real octopus jets away under cover of darkness. This tactic is not random panic. It is a deliberate misdirection, a sleight of hand perfected through millions of years of predatory pressure. The ink itself is chemically sophisticated, containing melanin and tyrosinase enzymes that can impair a pursuer's vision and sense of smell. The octopus thus vanishes not only from sight, but from the predator's perception entirely. Away from danger, its ingenuity shifts from theater to architecture. Beneath ledges or inside coral hollows, octopuses construct dens, safe houses built from shells, rocks, and fragments of debris. The entrances are carefully designed, small enough to exclude larger predators, yet wide enough for rapid escape. Many octopuses drag discarded shells or bottle fragments to serve as doors, closing them from the inside like improvised shutters. Some species, such as the veined octopus, are known to collect coconut halves or clamshells, carrying them across the sea floor for later use. When threatened, they assemble these portable shields into a fortress, sealing themselves within. This use of tools, a behavior once considered uniquely human, underscores an advanced level of cognitive flexibility. Outside the den, a ring of discarded shells often forms a telltale boundary, a midden of bones and exoskeletons left behind from previous meals. It is both a warning and a record, a sort of underwater ruin that documents the octopus's predatory reach. These remains are not random clutter, they serve functional roles. The sharp edges deter intruding fish, and the smell of decay may discourage smaller scavengers. Some octopuses even rearrange their middens into defensive barriers, positioning the largest shells as barricades against currents or intruders. Every object in its world is a potential component of survival strategy, a piece in the octopus's architecture of disappearances. Yet even the most cunning designs must yield to biology's constraints. The octopus's brilliance comes at a steep evolutionary cost: brevity. Most species live barely a year or two, their lives compressed into a single reproductive cycle. Once an octopus mates, its story begins to end. The female guards her clutch of eggs with absolute devotion, refusing to hunt or feed while tending to them. She aerates the eggs constantly with gentle streams of water, cleaning them of algae and predators. By the time they hatch, she is emaciated, her body collapsing under starvation. The male, too, does not live long after mating, succumbing within months. Intelligence, it seems, is not enough to outwit mortality. Their short lifespan reflects a high-risk, high-reward evolutionary path, a burst of creativity, learning, and adaptation crammed into a fleeting window of existence. During that short time, however, the octopus hunts with the precision of a veteran strategist. Along coral heads and rocky outcrops, it stalks small crabs, shrimp, and fish. The hunt is a choreography of patience and calculation. An octopus rarely rushes, it observes. Its eyes, among the most complex in the animal kingdom, detect polarized light, granting it exceptional contrast sensitivity even in murky water. Once it selects a target, the octopus moves with liquid subtlety, arms flowing like extensions of current. It may circle from behind, pressing its body low and extending one arm in a slow serpentine motion until the tip brushes the prey. Then, in a flash, the webbing between its arms unfurls, forming a living net that collapses over the victim. Crabs are frequent targets, but not easy ones. Their claws can inflict serious damage, so the octopus approaches with calculated precision. It pries open the shell by inserting its beak into a weak joint, then injects venom from its salivary glands to paralyze the prey. The neurotoxic component, cephalotoxin, quickly immobilizes the crab, while enzymes begin dissolving muscle tissue from within. The result is efficiency, digestion before consumption. It is nature's version of chemical warfare, refined through necessity rather than malice. Every encounter in the octopus's life is a dialogue between intelligence and impermanence. Its body, devoid of bones, grants it a freedom of motion unknown to most animals, but also renders it fragile. Even a minor injury can prove fatal. To survive, it must rely on planning, memory, and improvisation. Experiments have shown that octopuses can learn through observation, open jars to access food, and even differentiate between individual humans who feed or disturb them. Such behaviors reveal not just problem-solving, but personality, curiosity, caution, even playfulness. These traits, while extraordinary, arise from necessity. In a world where nearly everything can eat you, thinking faster than your predators is not a luxury, it is survival. Perhaps the most haunting aspect of the octopus's existence is how transient its genius is. There are no generations of mentorship, no passing of knowledge through teaching or community. Every octopus is born into ignorance and must rediscover the world from zero. The lessons it learns, the routes it maps, the traps it engineers, the strategies it invents, vanish with it. Each life is a self-contained masterpiece of adaptation, an isolated intelligence that begins and ends alone. As night descends over the reef, the octopus emerges from its den once more. Bioluminescent plankton drift in the dark water, glowing faintly like suspended stars. The octopus glides across the coral, skin flickering through subtle shades of shadow and moonlight, vanishing and reappearing as it moves. To the untrained eye, it seems supernatural, a phantom sculpted from the seafloor itself. But behind the illusion lies method, biology, and memory. It is not magic that hides the octopus, but mastery of physics, perception, and the fragile art of being unseen in a world that never stops looking. In the stillness of a tropical twilight, when the reef exhales the last warmth of the day, a shadow begins to move through the water. It does not glide like a shark or dart like a barracuda. It floats, unhurried, deliberate, and eerily symmetrical. Sunbeams fade through the coral spires as the water turns from gold to cobalt, and in this quiet shift between day and night, the lionfish appears. To the untrained eye, it looks ornamental, a living feathered crown, its fins fanning outward like a slow explosion of silk. Yet beneath this deceptive elegance lies one of the most efficient ambush predators in the tropical ocean, a hunter whose patience, silence, and precision have allowed it to dominate entire ecosystems. The lionfish does not chase its prey, it herds it. Unlike most reef predators that rely on bursts of speed, the lionfish has evolved a style of hunting that trades motion for manipulation. Its pectoral fins, long, ribbed fans that ripple with every microcurrent, serve as both wall and weapon. When approaching a school of juvenile fish or shrimp, the lionfish begins a slow advance, spreading its fins wider and wider until they form an enclosing barrier. The prey, confused by the undulating pattern and unable to distinguish fin from water, drifts backward into the narrowing trap. The lionfish then begins a circling motion, corralling the victims into a tight cluster. There is no rush, no struggle. The fish behaves less like a killer and more like a patient shepherd, guiding its flock toward inevitability. At the final moment, the lionfish's hunting mechanism switches from choreography to physics. Its jaw opens in a split second, not to bite, but to pull. A rapid expansion of its buccal cavity creates an instantaneous drop in water pressure, forming a suction vortex that draws prey directly into its mouth. The strike is so fast that high-speed cameras have captured only the faintest blur of movement, the prey disappearing without resistance or trace. The lionfish's gape expansion happens faster than human muscle can twitch, with suction forces strong enough to engulf animals nearly half its own body length. This vacuum feeding technique requires precision rather than power, and it allows the lionfish to conserve energy, an essential strategy for a predator that can feed dozens of times in a single twilight raid. The attack is perfectly quiet. No splash, no chase, no visible aggression. For prey species evolved to detect speed and turbulence, this hunting style is nearly impossible to counter. Many reef fish rely on a motion signature to recognize threats. The sudden acceleration of a predator triggers escape responses. But the lionfish gives off no such warning. Its slow approach produces no alarm, its fins appear harmlessly decorative, and by the time the strike comes, it is too late. In evolutionary terms, it is not faster or stronger. It is simply invisible to the logic of its prey. At close range, the beauty of the lionfish becomes its camouflage. The alternating stripes of red, brown, and white that seem so conspicuous to humans actually break up its body outline under the fractured lighting of coral habitats. The fin's movement mimics the swaying of soft corals or anemones, allowing the predator to blend perfectly with the reef's rhythm. Even its eye, often a giveaway in predators, is masked by a false eye spot, an ocellus, located near the tips of its dorsal and pectoral fins. These ocelli serve a dual purpose, confusing both prey and potential attackers. To a small fish, the fin tips appear as multiple heads, making it impossible to predict the true direction of the strike. To larger predators, the illusion suggests a bigger, more dangerous animal. This visual deception, combined with its venomous defenses, has made the lionfish virtually unchallenged in many ecosystems. Venom, however, is not part of its hunting arsenal. The lionfish's dorsal, pelvic, and anal spines are defensive tools, evolved to discourage attacks from would-be predators. Each spine is a hollow needle connected to venom glands at its base. When pressure is applied, a bite or contact with a diver's hand, the glands release a potent neurotoxin into the wound. The effect is immediate: searing pain, tissue swelling, and in some cases, systemic shock. Yet the venom is strictly reactive. The lionfish does not inject its toxin in aggression or predation. Instead, its strategy is deterrence by reputation. A single encounter with its spines is enough to teach predators, and even humans, lifelong avoidance. In this way, the lionfish reinforces its dominance not by killing threats, but by ensuring there will be none. Its preference for twilight hunting aligns perfectly with its physical advantages. During the day, the reef is a crowded theater of color and movement. At night, it turns into a maze of shadows and silence. The lionfish thrives in the in-between. As dusk settles, cleaning stations, the neutral zones where small cleaner wrasses and shrimp groom larger fish, become gathering points for potential prey. Many species arrive at these sites fatigued or distracted, focusing on parasite removal rather than vigilance. The lionfish uses this shift in attention to approach unnoticed. Drifting among the silhouettes of parrotfish and snappers, it glides through the fading light with fins extended, positioning itself just beyond the cleaning zone. When the smaller fish scatter after cleaning, the predator is already waiting in their escape path. This strategy underscores how finely tuned the lionfish's intelligence is to the reef's daily rhythms. It knows not just where to hunt, but when. Such timing is critical in an environment where energy efficiency means survival. By hunting at dusk, the lionfish exploits the overlap between diurnal and nocturnal communities, when one group is settling and the other is emerging, both at their least alert. While its hunting mastery is remarkable, the lionfish's ecological story carries an even broader lesson about balance and disruption. In its native Indo-Pacific range, this species plays a controlled role within the reef's food web. Natural predators, including groupers, eels, and larger snappers, keep its population in check, while prey species have co-evolved with its tactics over millions of years. The system functions in equilibrium, but in foreign waters, particularly the Caribbean and Western Atlantic, the lionfish has become an invasive force. Transported accidentally through the aquarium trade, it found itself in ecosystems unprepared for its precision and immunity. Without predators capable of recognizing its striped warning or surviving its venom, the lionfish population exploded. The consequences were immediate and devastating. Each lionfish can consume dozens of juvenile reef fish in a single day, and with reproduction occurring year-round, females can release tens of thousands of eggs every few days. The population growth outpaced the reef's natural replenishment. As juveniles of key herbivorous species disappeared, algae began to overgrow coral surfaces, smothering reefs and disrupting the delicate balance that allows coral polyps to survive. The boom-bust cycle of lionfish predation demonstrates a fundamental ecological principle. Even the most elegant predator can become catastrophic when removed from its evolutionary context. Yet within its native range, the lionfish remains a model of efficiency and restraint. It hunts only what it needs, guided by instinctual precision. Observers have noted cooperative hunting behaviors between pairs or small groups of lionfish, not social cooperation in the mammalian sense, but parallel opportunism. 2 or 3 individuals will spread their fins to create overlapping walls, trapping prey between them. Each takes turns striking, a silent exchange of opportunity rather than dominance. This behavior reveals a cognitive awareness rare among solitary reef fish, a recognition of mutual benefit through coordination. The lionfish's slow movements, often mistaken for grace, are in fact finely calculated adaptations for ambush life. Its muscles are structured for controlled bursts rather than sustained motion. Unlike pursuit predators that rely on fast twitch fibers, the lionfish's musculature prioritizes precision and posture. Its broad fins allow it to hover motionless, countering currents with imperceptible adjustments. The ability to remain suspended without effort is what makes its approach so deadly. In a medium as dynamic as seawater, where every pulse of motion broadcasts intent, stillness becomes the ultimate disguise. Even the physics of its suction feeding are optimized for stealth. By opening its mouth downward instead of forward, the lionfish minimizes lateral disturbance. The prey never feels the incoming draw. It simply vanishes into the vacuum. This hunting efficiency allows the lionfish to maintain a constant energy surplus, supporting not just survival, but reproduction on a near-continuous cycle. Its abundance of energy and immunity from predation explain why, in foreign ecosystems, it can overrun entire reefs in a matter of years. And yet, for all its predatory success, the lionfish is not an agent of malice but of ecological design, a creature evolved to perfection within a particular niche. Its venom, its beauty, its slowness, and its precision all speak to a life form sculpted by balance. When observed in its native waters, patrolling coral heads under a fading sun, it is neither invader nor villain. It is an artist of motion, a silent herdsman tending to its living field of prey, a reminder that even the most graceful forms of life can shape the destiny of entire ecosystems. As darkness descends, the lionfish fades into the coral maze, its fins folding like closing wings. The reef quiets, the last rays of light dissolve, and only the faint outline of stripes lingers in the gloom. For the creatures that survived the dusk hunt, the water feels still again, but the stillness is deceptive. Somewhere nearby, the silent herdsman hovers once more, patient, watchful, and utterly at home in the art of control. Beneath the shallow turquoise water of a tropical reef, where sunlight fractures into ribbons across the sand, a small burrow sits half hidden beneath coral rubble. Nothing about it draws attention. A faint, oval depression, a few fragments of broken shell at the entrance, and the occasional flick of a sand plume. Yet this modest opening belongs to one of the most extraordinary predators in the ocean, a creature whose size belies the scale of its power, precision, and complexity. The mantis shrimp, barely the length of a human hand, is both engineer and executioner, a tiny embodiment of the reef's violent elegance. Its world is one of motion too fast for human eyes, forces strong enough to crack glass, and colors more vivid than any other creature on Earth can see. The reef itself is a battlefield of extremes, and the mantis shrimp's design is one of evolution's most daring answers to that chaos. There are two great tribes of these crustacean gladiators, the spearers, with barbed forelimbs designed for skewering soft-bodied prey, and the smashers, whose weaponized clubs deliver blows of staggering force. It is the smasher, however, that defines the legend. At first glance, its raptorial appendages resemble folded arms, tucked neatly under its chest like a praying mantis. But within those folded limbs lies an intricate spring-loaded mechanism capable of delivering one of the fastest and most powerful strikes in the animal kingdom. Each appendage consists of a jointed hammer, the dactyl club, attached to a muscular saddle, a U-shaped structure made of helicoid layers of chitin and mineralized phosphate. These layers form a natural composite material that redistributes stress with every strike, preventing the limb from shattering under its own force. When the mantis shrimp cocks its arm, elastic energy builds within the saddle, compressing like a drawn bow. The tension is held in place by a small latch, and when released it converts instantly into kinetic energy. The result is astonishing. The hammer accelerates with such velocity that it reaches speeds over 20 meters per second, fast enough to generate forces exceeding 1,000 times the shrimp's body weight. But the physical strike is only half the story. At these speeds, the hammer moves so quickly that it creates a zone of low pressure in the water, causing the surrounding liquid to vaporize momentarily. This phenomenon, known as cavitation, produces a shockwave of collapsing bubbles that generate temperatures hotter than the surface of the sun, albeit for a few microseconds and within a minuscule volume. The implosion releases a flash of light and an additional blast wave, capable of stunning or killing prey even if the hammer misses direct contact. To observers using high-speed cameras, each strike is accompanied by a ghostly microflash, a brief flare of light born not from bioluminescence, but from the physics of destruction. The mantis shrimp uses this weapon not only for hunting, but for excavation and defense. Its burrow, carved into sand or coral, serves as both fortress and ambush point. Constructed with meticulous care, the tunnel's entrance is reinforced with shell fragments and gravel, forming a rim that resists collapse under current and wave action. Inside, the chambers widen to accommodate the shrimp's body, with side pockets for discarded prey remains and molted shells. This architecture provides stability against predators and floods, while serving as a workshop for one of the reef's most methodical engineers. When the tide rises and light filters into its den, the mantis shrimp may drum its raptorial clubs rhythmically against the burrow walls, sending vibrations through the sediment. These drumming signals are territorial broadcasts, warning rivals to keep their distance or risk testing the limits of the ocean's smallest artillery. Life on the bright reef gives the mantis shrimp more than a hunting ground. It gives it an optical advantage unmatched by any other creature. Its eyes, perched on independently swiveling stalks, contain up to 16 types of photoreceptor cells for color, compared to the 3 in human eyes. Yet the mantis shrimp's true visual brilliance lies not in the range of colors it perceives, but in how it interprets light polarization, the orientation of light waves. Polarization vision allows the shrimp to detect patterns invisible to other animals, including predators and prey. Each compound eye is divided into specialized regions that analyze light direction and wavelength simultaneously. This polarization sensitivity serves multiple purposes. It helps the shrimp locate transparent or camouflaged prey by detecting the subtle polarization differences reflected from their bodies. It also enables individuals to communicate through signals that only their species can read. Some mantis shrimp display patches of polarized reflectivity on their bodies, creating an optical language that transmits warnings, courtship cues, or territorial boundaries without alerting competitors or predators. In the densely populated reef, where countless eyes are always watching, such private communication channels confer a distinct evolutionary advantage. The combination of hypervision and high-speed weaponry makes the mantis shrimp an apex predator in miniature. Its diet is as diverse as the reef itself. Crabs, snails, clams, and even other mantis shrimp fall victim to its strikes. When attacking hard-shelled prey, the smasher uses its clubs to exploit weaknesses in shell geometry. It often begins with exploratory taps, gauging resistance through feedback vibrations before delivering the final devastating blow. The process demonstrates an astonishing level of control and sensory integration, merging tactile and visual data into a coherent strategy. In essence, the mantis shrimp tests its prey before deciding how to kill it. This blend of calculation and brutality has ecological consequences. By preying on small crustaceans and mollusks, the mantis shrimp helps regulate populations that would otherwise overgraze algae or destabilize coral microhabitats. It maintains a delicate balance within the reef's intricate food web. Yet in some locations, the shrimp itself becomes a keystone species, indirectly shaping the biodiversity of its surroundings. The empty burrows of deceased individuals often become shelters for gobies, blennies, or juvenile fish, continuing the cycle of utility long after the original occupant has fallen. Its power, however, comes with inherent vulnerability. The same weapon that defines its success can also limit its survival. The dactyl clubs, while immensely strong, require periodic molting to regenerate and maintain integrity. During this molting period, when the shrimp's exoskeleton softens, it becomes nearly defenseless. Most individuals retreat deep into their burrows for several days, sealing the entrance with debris until the new shell hardens. For a creature built on aggression and dominance, this brief window of fragility reveals the cost of power. Every advantage in nature demands a trade-off. The structure of the dactyl club itself has fascinated engineers and materials scientists. Its layered helicoid architecture, sometimes referred to as a boulligand structure, is composed of twisted sheets of chitin fibers embedded in a mineral matrix. This design dissipates energy through controlled crack deflection, preventing catastrophic failure even under repeated stress. Human technology has since mimicked this biological armor in developing impact-resistant composites for aerospace and military applications. In this sense, the mantis shrimp's anatomy represents not only evolutionary mastery, but a blueprint for human innovation, nature's engineering written in microscopic spirals. In the dazzling world of the coral reef, where color can mean concealment, attraction, or warning, the mantis shrimp's vibrant patterns serve as both declaration and deterrent. Its body glows with electric blues, reds, and greens that shimmer with metallic intensity under polarized light. These colors are not simply decorative, they signal health, dominance, and readiness to mate. Males with brighter coloration tend to command larger territories, while females often judge mates by both hue and the resonance of territorial drumming. The reef amplifies these displays through its bright water clarity and reflective surfaces, turning each mantis shrimp's performance into a broadcast of vitality across the sand flats. Though its world may seem one of endless conflict, there is method and rhythm in its violence. The mantis shrimp's territory functions like a living instrument, shaped and maintained through vibration, color, and impact. It is a creature defined by its ability to control energy, mechanical, optical, and acoustic. Its every motion, from the flick of its antennae to the thunderclap of its strike, reflects precision honed by millions of years of refinement. As the sun climbs higher and the water turns to shimmering glass, the mantis shrimp withdraws into its burrow, leaving the sand undisturbed. Only the faintest trace of its activity remains, a few cracked shells scattered like discarded ammunition at the entrance. In the hours to come, it will rest, rebuild, and recalibrate for the next encounter. The reef, glittering in its apparent peace, continues unaware that beneath its surface dwells an animal capable of generating both light and shock waves from the swing of a single claw. The mantis shrimp is not merely a hunter, it is a force of physics wrapped in muscle and color, a creature that channels the raw mechanics of the ocean into artful violence. Within the turquoise shallows, it endures as proof that size has little to do with power and that evolution's most explosive weapons often hide behind beauty. The open blue begins where the coral ends, that liminal zone where the bright, bustling reef gives way to vast emptiness. It is a place of gradients and ghosts, sunlight fractured into endless motion, currents whispering across invisible boundaries, and silhouettes that appear and vanish in the glare. It is here, just beyond the reef's edge, that the tiger shark patrols. The water glitters with deceptive calm, but beneath the reflection, the ocean's most versatile hunter moves in measured arcs, invisible not because it hides, but because it belongs to the light itself. The tiger shark's world is not the confined theater of ambush reefs or the open highways of pelagic giants. It is a transitional empire, a shifting corridor where every shadow has meaning. Its hunting style depends on the sun, the way glare blinds upward eyes, the way silhouettes distort against the surface. To smaller animals that drift in the top layer, the brightness above is both protection and peril. And to the tiger shark, it is opportunity. This is the glare assassin's domain, the blue edge between vision and blindness, where light itself becomes camouflage. A mature tiger shark, 3 to 4 meters long, glides with deceptive slowness. Its movement is effortless, powered by a tail that seems to move more from thought than motion. Along its flanks, faint stripes ripple through the filtered light, markings that fade with age but never fully disappear. They are the remnants of youth, a camouflage pattern evolved for shallows and coral shadow, yet still useful in the flickering, dappled gradients of the reef drop-off. Above it, the surface burns white with sunbursts. Below, the water deepens to cobalt. Between these two worlds, the shark is almost invisible. For all its reputation as a brutal scavenger, the tiger shark is a master of sensory precision. Its first weapon is distance. From kilometers away, it can trace the faintest molecular signatures drifting in a current. The chemical whispers of decay, blood, or reproductive fluids carried on invisible plumes. The shark's olfactory system is one of the most sensitive on Earth. It can detect a single drop of fish oil in an Olympic-sized swimming pool, but smell alone is only the beginning. As it closes the distance, the shark shifts from chemical to electrical perception. Along its snout and head, hundreds of tiny pores, the ampullae of Lorenzini, act as biological voltage detectors, capable of sensing the weak electric fields generated by the muscle contractions and heartbeats of living animals. This ability, known as electroreception, becomes its final targeting system. When vision fails in murky water or low light, the tiger shark feels its prey through electricity itself. Every beat of a turtle's heart, every twitch of a wounded fish radiates a signature. To the shark, these are coordinates. The strike is built on contrast, the physics of light and the geometry of motion. Near the surface, turtles, seabirds, and fish cast sharp silhouettes against the blinding brightness above. From below, the tiger shark sees their outlines clearly, while they see nothing but the dazzle of refracted sun. When it attacks, it uses both stealth and geometry. Rising slowly from depth, it angles itself to stay just outside the prey's field of vision. The final thrust comes from below and behind, an upward surge that breaks the surface in an explosion of spray and sound. Many seabirds, resting after long flights, never see the shadow until it is too late. For the shark, even a single mistake by its prey, a momentary pause in vigilance, is enough. The same strategy applies to turtles, one of the tiger shark's favorite targets. In shallow channels or near nesting beaches, turtles rise periodically to breathe. The shark patrols below, waiting for that rhythmic ascent. Its jaws, wide and blunted, are designed not for slicing like a great white's, but for crushing. The serrated teeth, shaped like small can openers, can shear through shell and bone with rotational force. Each bite is both grip and grind, enabling the shark to consume armored prey that most other predators cannot exploit. This niche defines much of its role within the ecosystem, a hunter that turns the unreachable into energy and movement again. Yet to label the tiger shark merely as a killer is to misunderstand its ecological purpose. It is also a scavenger of extraordinary value. Carcasses, those of whales, dolphins, sea turtles or large fish, rarely go to waste in the open ocean because tiger sharks find them first. Guided by chemical trails, they can converge on a dead whale from miles away, joining other scavengers in an efficient process that recycles nutrients back into the marine web. By stripping decaying matter before it can rot and release harmful bacteria, tiger sharks act as the ocean's sanitation crew. They clean what the living leave behind. In doing so, they prevent localized collapses in water quality and maintain the delicate balance between life and decomposition. Their movement across these zones, from reef to channel to open blue, follows invisible migration corridors shaped by current, temperature, and prey distribution. Satellite tracking has revealed that tiger sharks are not the solitary drifters once imagined, but rather strategic migrators with seasonal patterns. In many regions, individuals move between sand channels and deep offshore basins in cycles linked to temperature gradients and the movement of turtles or spawning fish. These migrations are not random wanderings, but ecological patrols that connect habitats separated by hundreds of kilometers. A shark that feeds near coral one month may clean a whale carcass in the abyssal plain the next. The tiger shark's adaptability is what has allowed it to persist for millions of years, with little need for evolutionary revision. Its diet is infamously broad: fish, rays, seabirds, crustaceans, carrion, and even garbage, earning it the nickname, the garbage can of the sea. But the truth behind that reputation is more nuanced. Opportunism is not recklessness. It is a survival strategy optimized for fluctuating ecosystems. In environments where prey availability changes with tides, seasons, and human impact, dietary flexibility ensures continuity. A tiger shark that eats a turtle one day may feed on squid, jellyfish, or a dead dolphin the next. This fluidity makes it one of the ocean's most adaptable apex predators, capable of thriving from equatorial lagoons to cooler temperate coasts. When hunting along reef slopes, the tiger shark uses the terrain as part of its strategy. It patrols along sand channels that cut between coral ridges, using them as stealth corridors. These channels funnel both scent and sound, amplifying sensory input like an underwater highway of information. Prey moving from reef to open water must cross these routes, often unaware that the shadow tracking below is reading every vibration. A single flick of its tail adjusts its position silently, the muscular movement absorbed by the surrounding water. The shark's body, dense with muscle and cartilage, is a masterpiece of hydrodynamic engineering, built for endurance rather than speed. It can maintain a slow, energy-efficient glide for hours, using lift generated by its large pectoral fins to remain buoyant. While many predators in the ocean depend on speed or ambush to survive, the tiger shark operates through patience. Its hunting success depends on observation, timing, and precision. Studies have shown that tiger sharks often circle potential prey several times before striking, evaluating behavior, energy, and vulnerability. This deliberate approach conserves energy and minimizes risk. Unlike frenzied chasers, the tiger shark is a tactician, a patient opportunist that waits for the perfect moment when prey is compromised by fatigue, distraction, or environmental disadvantage. Its sensory suite extends beyond smell and electroreception into a kind of environmental awareness that borders on intuition. Changes in barometric pressure, tidal movement, and lunar cycles influence its activity patterns. During full moons, when turtles come ashore to nest, tiger sharks move closer to coastal shallows. When storms pass, they often follow sediment plumes stirred up by runoff, knowing that wounded or disoriented animals may be easier to find. Such behavior demonstrates an almost predictive intelligence, not conscious foresight, but finely tuned biological programming refined through millions of successful hunts. Despite its dominance, the tiger shark plays a fragile role in the ecosystem's equilibrium. Its removal can cause cascading effects. In areas where tiger shark numbers have declined due to overfishing or fin harvesting, populations of mid-level predators like rays and smaller sharks often surge. These species then overconsume benthic prey, leading to declines in shellfish and reef-dwelling organisms. The result is ecological imbalance, a subtle but profound reminder that even the most fearsome hunters are guardians of stability. As the day draws to a close, the tiger shark continues its slow patrol along the drop-off, tracing the line where blue deepens into shadow. The surface above flashes with reflected fire from the setting sun, a mosaic of gold and silver. Against that glare, every turtle, every seabird, every drifting fish becomes a black cutout, a target etched against brilliance. The shark ascends slightly, aligning itself with the light. The world around it narrows into shape and motion, timing and instinct. And then, in a burst too fast to follow, the stillness breaks. Moments later, the surface smooths again, the glare returns, and the blue edge resumes its deceptive calm. The reef below continues its quiet rhythm, oblivious that another life has vanished into the balance of energy that sustains the ocean. The tiger shark glides away. No triumph, no cruelty, only continuation. In the silent geometry of light and shadow, it remains what it has always been, an apex of precision, the glare assassin of the blue frontier. Night falls over the reef not with silence, but with transformation. As the sun's last orange trails dissolve beyond the horizon, a new world begins to stir among the coral ledges. The bright parrotfish and angelfish retreat into crevices to sleep. The water darkens, thickening with shadow and drift. Then, from the same holes that served as refuge by day, another kind of creature slides into motion. Slow, deliberate, serpentine. The moray eel emerges, its head weaving like smoke through the coral lattice, its body following in a ripple of muscle and menace. In the faint blue of moonlight, its skin glistens with mucus, a film so thin it catches reflections like oil on water. To the untrained eye, the moray looks boneless, its movement otherworldly. But beneath that liquid grace lies one of the most complex and specialized designs in the marine realm, a predator shaped by the maze itself. The moray's entire body is a study in adaptation to confinement. Unlike most fish that rely on pectoral and pelvic fins for balance and thrust, the moray has lost those limbs altogether. Its long, ribbon-like body moves through the reef using a form of undulation that combines stealth with control, allowing it to reverse direction within a tunnel narrower than its own diameter. Every scale on its skin has vanished through evolution, replaced by a thick, slimy mucus layer that reduces friction and protects against abrasion. This coating, rich in antibacterial compounds, acts as both armor and lubricant. It allows the eel to glide through coral fissures as sharp as glass and to vanish into cracks where even octopuses cannot reach. But what truly sets the moray apart lies within its throat, a weapon so strange it defies comparison to any other vertebrate. Deep inside its muscular gullet are a second set of jaws, pharyngeal jaws, each equipped with its own set of sharp, recurved teeth. When the moray seizes prey with its outer mouth, those inner jaws shoot forward, grabbing the struggling fish and dragging it backward into the esophagus. It is a mechanism so alien that early anatomists were baffled by its design, and even today it remains one of nature's most striking examples of evolutionary engineering. The inner jaws do not merely assist in swallowing, they replace suction, which morays lack due to their narrow, inflexible skulls. In most fish, expanding the mouth cavity creates a pressure vacuum to draw prey inward. The moray's skull, however, is built for power, not flexibility. So evolution provided a different solution, a spring-loaded feeding system that launches internal jaws like a harpoon. Underwater, this event is silent and almost invisible. The moray lunges, clamping onto a fish with its outer jaws, then pauses, the prey seemingly locked but not consumed. In that heartbeat of stillness, the pharyngeal jaws slide forward, grab the victim's flesh, and pull it back into darkness. The result is a feeding process that seems mechanical, almost cinematic, and yet perfectly attuned to its environment. The coral maze provides no room for pursuit. Everything here must be accomplished in confined space. The moray's design ensures that once prey is caught, escape is not possible. Night patrol begins when the current slackens and the water cools slightly. Morays emerge from their dens and begin a slow circuit along the reef's ledge, the border between shallow coral gardens and the deeper slope. Here, life is concentrated and vulnerable. Schools of soldierfish hover near the overhangs, goatfish sift the sand below, and small crustaceans dart across open patches of rock. The moray slides through this realm without sound. Its movements are guided by smell, not sight, a necessity in the low light. The nostrils at the tip of its snout and above its eyes constantly test the water for traces of amino acids, the universal scent of living tissue. With a single flick of the head, the eel can triangulate the direction of that chemical trail, its brain processing olfactory information faster than human reaction time. Despite its solitary nature, the moray is not always alone in the hunt. Along certain reefs in the Indo-Pacific, a remarkable alliance unfolds between moray eels and groupers, two predators that could not be more different in shape or hunting style, yet share a strange synergy. The grouper, a broad-shouldered ambusher, signals the eel with a rapid headshake or body shimmy near a crevice. The motion is not random, it is a deliberate invitation. The moray responds by slithering into the coral labyrinth, using its narrow body to flush out hidden prey. When the terrified fish bolts from its hiding place, the grouper is waiting. A single gulp, and the hunt is done. But sometimes the eel itself catches the fleeing prey within the maze. Both hunters share the spoils through repeated cooperation, each benefiting from the other's abilities. This partnership, documented in the Red Sea and throughout the Indo-Pacific, is one of the few known examples of interspecies cooperative hunting among fish. It reveals not only the cognitive flexibility of these predators, but also the ecological intelligence embedded within the reef itself. Communication between species, a grouper's headshake, a moray's response, turns the coral landscape into a living strategy board, a dynamic system of cues and counter-cues. The reef is not just a habitat, it is a neural network of behavior. Certain ledges become recurring hunting grounds, what might be called kill zones of the reef. These sites have geometry in their favor, narrow cracks leading to wider chambers where prey become trapped. The moray learns these structures intimately, returning night after night to the same locations. Over time, the reef itself becomes mapped within its memory, a topography of opportunity. Each crevice holds a history of kills, each tunnel a pattern of success. Some eels have been observed defending specific ledges for years, attacking intruding conspecifics with sudden bursts of speed, their jaws snapping in violent, twisting bites. The mucus armor that protects them from coral also serves in combat, allowing skin-on-skin collisions without tearing. In the hierarchy of nocturnal hunters, morays occupy a strange niche, too large for most predators to threaten, yet too awkward to chase fast-moving prey. They compensate through patience, stealth, and the advantage of terrain. While reef sharks sweep the perimeter and octopuses probe the flats, the moray rules the edges and hollows. Its vision, limited in color and sharpness, is nonetheless attuned to contrast and motion. Even the faint ripple of a fin can betray prey within striking distance. The eel's lunging strike, though brief, is explosive, driven by axial muscles that ripple in sequence from head to tail, focusing kinetic energy forward like a whip crack. Their nocturnal patrols also serve another role in the reef's health. By consuming weakened or diseased fish, morays indirectly maintain population quality. They act as opportunistic regulators, culling the reef's small inhabitants without overhunting. Their waste and discarded prey remains contribute nutrients to the benthic microfauna, feeding crabs, worms, and microorganisms that recycle energy back into the food web. Even in death, morays influence the ecosystem. Their abandoned dens become shelters for blennies, shrimp, or juvenile groupers, a micro-legacy left within coral stone. An often overlooked adaptation of the moray is its respiratory rhythm. Unlike most fish that rely on gill flaps to pump water, morays open and close their mouths continuously to move oxygen through their narrow gill openings. This constant motion, often mistaken for aggression, is simply how they breathe. Yet it adds to their intimidating appearance. The slow gape and close, exposing rows of needle teeth in the beam of a diver's torch. The rhythmic breathing, combined with their unblinking stare and ghost-like motion, has inspired countless myths among coastal cultures. In Polynesian folklore, morays were seen as ancestral spirits or messengers from the deep. In others, they were symbols of treachery, silent watchers beneath the surface. When the hunt is over, the moray returns to its den. It coils within the crevice, wrapping its body into a tight knot, head resting near the entrance. This position allows for rapid response to any intruder or passing prey. The mucus film thickens slightly during rest, helping prevent desiccation in case of low tide exposure and guarding against parasitic infection. Some morays remain in the same den for years, maintaining it by pushing out debris and rearranging stones with their jaws. To an observer, the reef seems still, but beneath every overhang lies a network of living fortresses, each occupied, defended, and remembered. As dawn approaches, the moray begins to withdraw deeper into the coral structure. The returning light favors the daytime hunters, whose keen vision outmatches the eels. Its patrol ends not with fatigue, but with discipline, an understanding, honed by instinct, that in the hierarchy of the reef, timing is survival. The eel's last movements are slow, deliberate. It slides backward into the safety of its tunnel, the rippling body disappearing inch by inch until only the face remains, a pair of watchful eyes and a breathing mouth framed by the coral's rough walls. The reef brightens once more, the day creatures resuming their business above. The parrotfish bite at coral, wrasses dart through open water, and schools of damselfish form living clouds. None seem aware that within the labyrinth beneath them, the night's hunter waits, not sleeping, but listening. For when darkness falls again, the same jaws will return to patrol the same ledge, tracing the same silent paths through stone and shadow. And deep within that narrow throat, the second set of jaws waits as well, hidden, patient, mechanical, a perfect engine for the perpetual cycle of the coral night. The tropical shallows of the Indo-Pacific shimmer with deceptive calm. From above, the water glows like liquid glass, a seamless expanse of turquoise stretching toward the horizon. But beneath that glittering surface, the coral gardens form a dense labyrinth of life, a place of color, movement, and constant negotiation between predator and prey. Threading silently through this living maze, a band of silver-gray ribbon glides between coral branches. At first it seems a loose strip of seaweed caught in the current. Then it bends, turns with purpose, and reveals a head, flattened, elegant, eyes sharp as pinpoints. A sea snake, perfectly adapted to the aquatic world yet unmistakably reptilian. To watch a sea snake move is to witness the improbable marriage of land-born anatomy with marine precision. Evolution, over millions of years, has reshaped a creature once tied to dry ground into one that rivals fish in agility and endurance. Its body, long and laterally compressed, acts as both muscle and sail. The flattened tail, a paddle of bone and skin, functions like a propeller, generating thrust with each undulation. Unlike terrestrial snakes that crawl by pushing against solid ground, the sea snake swims by sculpting the water itself. Its movement is fluid, three-dimensional, a dance of hydrodynamic efficiency honed by eons of selective pressure. Yet the most astonishing transformation lies hidden within its chest. The sea snake's single lung, extending through almost the entire length of its body, serves as far more than an oxygen reservoir. It doubles as a buoyancy tank, allowing the snake to fine-tune its position in the water column. By adjusting the volume of air it holds, the animal can hover mid-water, sink among coral branches, or drift along the surface with minimal effort. Tiny muscular valves regulate the air exchange between lung and trachea, turning respiration into an instrument of balance. This adaptation is so efficient that a sea snake can remain submerged for more than half an hour, gliding among reefs like a ribbon animated by invisible threads. But the lung is only part of its secret. The rest of its body breathes through the skin, a trait rare among reptiles. Roughly 1/5 of a sea snake's total oxygen comes directly through cutaneous respiration. The skin, richly supplied with capillaries, absorbs dissolved oxygen from seawater and releases carbon dioxide, acting as a living gill. During long dives, this ability becomes crucial. The snake's heartbeat slows, its metabolism drops, and the invisible exchange across its skin keeps it alive when lungs alone would not suffice. In colder water, where oxygen solubility increases, this system becomes even more effective, a silent reminder that reptiles too can engineer elegance from constraint. The sea snake's foraging grounds lie within the reef's most complex terrain, the tangled forests of branching corals, crevices, and sand-bottom caves. Here it hunts small fish, gobies, eels, and crustaceans. Its vision, surprisingly keen for a reptile, is adapted for low light and short distances. With each glide, it flicks its tongue to sample chemical cues, mapping an invisible scent landscape. The forked tips, coated with sensory cells, collect microscopic traces of prey molecules, which are then analyzed by the Jacobson's organ in the roof of the mouth. Even in darkness, the snake can follow the faintest trail of a hiding goby to its burrow, moving with the same eerie certainty that land snakes display when tracking rodents through grass. When the strike comes, it is not explosive but surgical. The sea snake's head darts forward with blinding precision, the mouth opening just wide enough to deliver its venom through small, fixed fangs at the front of the jaw. The venom, a potent cocktail of neurotoxins and myotoxins, acts faster than almost any terrestrial snakes. It immobilizes prey by disrupting nerve transmission, effectively shutting down muscle control within seconds. Yet, despite possessing venom strong enough to kill dozens of humans, sea snakes are among the ocean's most non-aggressive predators. Their fangs are small, their strikes reserved for necessity, and their behavior marked by caution rather than confrontation. Most bites to divers occur only when a snake is startled or handled, often during mating season when dozens tangle together in narrow spaces. That mating season too reveals another layer of complexity in their aquatic lives. When the water warms to a certain threshold, often around the transition between monsoon cycles, sea snakes gather in remarkable numbers in coastal shallows and estuaries. Males, driven by chemical cues, follow females in long, spiraling trains that drift with the tide. At times, several males may compete, wrapping around a single female in slow-motion battles of endurance. These aggregations can number in the hundreds, a phenomenon once mistaken by sailors for sea serpents, writhing beneath the waves. During this period, oxygen management becomes even more critical. Males can remain submerged for extended periods, relying on their skin's gas exchange to sustain long chases without surfacing. Their reproductive cycle completes entirely in water, a rarity among marine reptiles. Unlike sea turtles, which must return to land to nest, sea snakes give birth to live young at sea. The embryos develop within the mother's body, nourished by yolk sacs until birth. This adaptation frees them completely from the shore, allowing them to colonize reefs and lagoons thousands of kilometers from land. The newborns, miniature versions of their parents, emerge ready to swim, breathe, and hunt. Within days, they disperse into the reef, each beginning its solitary existence in a world of endless complexity. The ecology of sea snakes is not confined to shallow coral habitats. Some species, like the yellow-bellied sea snake, have gone entirely pelagic, living their whole lives in the open ocean. They ride surface currents across entire basins, drifting in the convergence zones of calm water known as slicks. These slicks, rich in floating debris and small fish, form natural highways where the snakes hunt, mate, and rest. With their ability to absorb oxygen through skin and lungs, they can survive weeks at sea without ever needing to touch land. Their scales, once protective armor for terrestrial life, have become smooth and interlocking, reducing drag to near perfection. Despite their mastery of the marine environment, sea snakes remain vulnerable to shifts in temperature and salinity. Because their breathing and buoyancy depend on delicate gas exchange, sudden drops in oxygen levels, caused by warming waters or pollution, can prove fatal. Many species have vanished from certain reefs where human activity has disrupted water quality. Others have become victims of bycatch in trawl nets or coastal fishing operations. Yet in protected zones, where reefs still flourish and currents remain stable, these creatures continue to thrive, a testament to resilience wrapped in fragility. Perhaps their most striking paradox is the dual nature of their weapon. The venom that makes them lethal to small fish also protects them indirectly from becoming prey. Large predators such as sharks, groupers, and even eels rarely target sea snakes, having learned through experience to avoid their distinctive patterns and chemical cues. Some fish even display mimicry patterns resembling juvenile sea snakes, using deception to dissuade would-be attackers. The presence of venom in this ecosystem has thus rippled beyond the snake's own survival, influencing behaviors across species lines. Even their surfacing behavior, a necessity for breathing, reveals evolutionary subtlety. A sea snake does not rise vertically like a bubble. Instead, it ascends along a slant, minimizing the time its body silhouette breaks the surface. The head alone breaches the waterline, inhaling air through nostrils that close automatically upon submersion. The exchange is quick, lasting mere seconds. In calm seas, the disturbance is barely visible, a single ripple, then nothing. It is a method born of vulnerability, a way to breathe without inviting notice from aerial predators such as sea eagles. As the sun rises over the coral shallows, shafts of golden light pierce the water, revealing the silent ballet of sea snakes weaving between coral branches. Each movement seems effortless, yet every second is a negotiation between physics and biology, between the need for air and the pressure of depth, between the predatory strike and the cost of energy spent. The lung within their ribboned bodies inflates and deflates in rhythm with the sea's pulse, maintaining buoyancy and breath in perfect synchrony. Around them, reef fish return to daylight routines, oblivious to the silent hunters among them. The sea snake is the quiet proof of what evolution can accomplish, when time and necessity sculpt a land creature for a life beneath the waves. It has turned lungs into ballast, scales into streamlines, and venom into both weapon and shield. It survives not by brute strength, but by invisible engineering, the mastery of respiration, chemistry, and restraint. Its ribboned body glides across the reef like a moving equation, every undulation a balance between air and water, every breath a reminder that the ocean rewards not just ferocity, but finesse.